Alright, so I decided to watch a bit of this one as well. I'm just gonna make a video on it because it's a little bit easier than typing everything out, pausing as I go every time I find something in the video, because I want to make it a little more in depth than what I had said on the last one. If there's individual timestamps or whatnot that I want to look at, I don't know if I'll watch the whole thing, but I figured this would as it's also a little bit easier to digest, I guess. Alright, so during this round, at the start of this, you kind of just are you do a little spin around and whatnot. Your wrecking ball ends up going too deep, and he ends up taking a lot of damage here. If you watch him, he's very low on health, and during this you end up just scoping in on this turret. You can see he's critical here right here on your screen, and you just ignore him to go shoot this turret. So he's sitting over here on point, and essentially what happens here is also you reload at 10 ammo here while your Widow comes out, and then she dies here, because you could have easily just shot one dart into her to make sure she's full health before doing that. So they end up coming through here because your Wrecking Ball doesn't get healed, so he's forced to come back to point and just sit here. It also doesn't help though that your Junkrat's just sitting AFK in spawn. There's nothing you can really do about that. But then at this point, right, your Wrecking Ball has been critical through all of this until he finally activated his shields. You shouldn't be shooting the Ramacha, right? You should scope in and you should hit your Wrecking Ball, because at the moment there's nobody really shooting at you, right? You're in a decent position if you just stay up here, because they're coming through here, so they'd have to turn around and shoot directly above, which is harder shots to hit. So moving over to the staircase, not really necessary. I mean, this isn't a perfect place to sit regardless, but if you sit over here, it's going to be hard because their team's going to come in here. So if you start moving over this way, it becomes easier for them to shoot you, while if you come over here, it's a lot harder for their team to shoot you, right, when they're having to turn around. And yeah, now he's full health, so that's alright to be shooting and whatnot. Um, see, it's one of those with them pushed all the way in, right? You're kind of counting on your Wrecking Ball to make space here, so there's not a whole ton you can do unless he pushes in. This is probably just a good spot to push out, right? Because they have 5 people here, and you just have 3. So I mean, if you can look at this, they pretty much have control over the entire point. They have pretty good high ground control here as well, and you guys have been backed into a corner. This is, one of those fights that you're probably not winning, and your best bet here is just to get out. So yeah, you guys lose the point. Um, Assuming your Wrecking Ball's not going to... Maybe he gets out here, I don't know. Nope, he's just still fighting on point while critical. That's is not much you can do about that. He should have just been out at this point. Yep. No, this is a good spot. Yeah, just wait for him to come back. There's only so suicidal that your tanks can be. See, so you did the right thing. You did the right thing backing up here and waiting for him to come back, because yeah, if you came all the way up to your cart here when he was around the corner to try to shoot them, then yeah, their team would have just walked into you and killed you. So it was a good call backing up, waiting for him, and then it's up to him to actually come back here to a spot. You don't compromise your positioning. So that was good. Hey, just be careful here. Yeah, you can hear the McCree. That's good shots. Good shots. Like I said in my comment, like your mechanics are good, like much better than low silver. And if you just climbed into silver, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if you're already if you're still moving. Good sleep. Yeah, with Wrecking Ball is can be a bit of a awkward tank to play around, since he's never really. You just have to make sure that you're doing what you're doing, just, you know, keeping yourself alive, healing him when you can, and just helping out your teammates. But most importantly, yeah, just keep good positioning, keep yourself alive. Like, I wouldn't get too obsessed with this Mercy, because she's not gonna do a whole ton. It's more important to just look at your teammates, make sure your teammates don't die. Alright, so this is something where, again, it's something that doesn't really seem like anything happened here, right? But in higher elo, this monkey, there is no reason for him to come on point just to fight this Wrecking Ball, right? There's the zero chance when he sees three targets here, right? The two supports are targets, or the Widow, he would be coming for you. So, I mean, maybe not you actually, since you have a Junkrat coming in, but probably be heading towards this Widow or this Kiriko that are more isolated. So it's just something to keep in mind, that if something like that happens where he's rezzed here, he has a Mercy pocket, he's going to go for other targets. He's not going to come on ball, so you are going to be vulnerable for being dived. But he really check or look. Actually, he did go after the Widow. He just would have done that sooner. Yeah, so this is not a spot you want to be in, really. Their team here, their Winston jumping up on top. Yeah, you need to be backing up. This is kind of what I was talking about with the other one, that there's spots where it works out all right, you know, where you're playing like right up next to your tank, but you end up putting yourself also in the face of the other team, and it's going to get punished a lot more as you get higher. So just keep that in mind, that some of these positions will work now, but as you get higher rank, it's going to get a lot more like a lot more easy for you to die. Let's see. Just, yep, this is a good spot to be. It's something that I noticed too. Something with your aim. It just seems like, and I've had this issue too, right? Where sometimes you get in a spot and you kind of panicking, like you're really focusing on hitting your one shots, and sometimes just need to calm down and just make sure you hit your shots. Well, that one was the one. I don't remember. There's yeah, where it's kind of like you're doing like a lot of little micro motions that you end up missing a couple shots there, and then when you focus and just, you know, it's always better to just, you know, take a second. Well, when you need to, if you find that you're missing a shot or two, that's always good to just kind of calm down and make sure you hit the shot, you know. Yeah, it's again knowing where the enemy team is here, right? So when they're coming for here, you should be playing this corner here. Because if you're here to get to cover, you either have to go this way where they can shoot at you, or you have to go this way where they can shoot at you. If you play the corner here, because again, you have Wrecking Ball. Like, if you had a tank here in front of it, this would be a little more safe. But because of the tank you have here, you need to be playing back here, because there is no one in between you and the enemy team here, right? Your DPS are on top of you, your tank is over here, and I think your other support might be dead. I believe. But you see how this looks from an aerial view. This is why you die, is because you're just the easiest target. You're the only one sitting on low ground, and you're the only one directly in line of sight of them. Which I think this is a fine position down here. I mean, if this actually might be a situation, I know saying that high ground is not always a situation, but if this is all you have for your team is simply two people up here, then it might be worth just to come up here and sit maybe on this back part here, and that way you can heal your team, you can still shoot at them, right? Plus, this way, the main reason that high ground is not always great is like, if you go to a place like here, right? Like, if you were sitting at, like, people might sit high ground somewhere like here, where then if your team is sitting down here, which is how a lot of maps are, um, then when your team rotates back, often if you're too slow, you can end up being having to rotate, come down here and then go across all of this in order to get there. So it does depend also on where it is. Well, somewhere like right here, if you sat on here, right, you could be peeking out. Sorry, I'm not great with these controls, but you could be peeking out here, right, to be shooting the enemy, and then you could be coming over here, and then if you need to, you have this little escape route. Because that's something that even here, right, if your team got pushed back through here and you were sitting up here and you drop too late, right, now you have to drop here and you have to go all the way around this corner, which can make you vulnerable to getting. But because you have this little exit here, you can just walk back out here if you get, your team ends up getting pushed. So this is not a bad spot to be sitting up here. I'd be okay with that. And again, it also depends on what your team's position, because if you're sitting up here, right, and your team is down here, then the high ground's also not good, because then it's hard for you to heal around this way, or if they back up, then you have to go to the other side, so then you'd want to be playing down here. For this, since your team is up here, you have this place with a good escape route, like, this is actually a decent place to be playing, but I still think down here is okay. The only problem is that, yeah, you can't hit your teammates. It's the only issue with being down here. But if you look at this from the Orisa, right? Actually, I wonder if she wasn't him that trying to hit that Kiriko. That's where that Kiriko went. But these were like, right, like these people are not able to be hit, right? So the Kiriko running across and you were the only two targets that she actually really had a shot on. This is a good spot just to sit. It's a rough situation. There's not much. It's not really too much you can do there. Alright, you get flanked. It happens. This isn't really something you need to be doing right now, running out there when you don't have your team. You're not really going to do anything until they get there. I mean, throwing balls from a distance is fine, but going up top and looking for people is a better way to get yourself, accidentally picked than it is to actually get picks. So the only thing I would say here, there's, again, it's just kind of a lost team fight regardless, but when you're playing Moira, like, and someone starts taking damage, you want to be bursting your healing on them. So right here, when he takes damage, immediately spray him a bit, right? And then start damaging, because your healing does, I think it's like 75 health over time. It'll do like a bit immediately, but it'll actually do over time then. So if you burst, it'll take up a lot less, because you can see how much your meter depletes here when you start healing him. You see how fast that goes down? You can do a lot more healing if you burst it and then go damage and then burst and then damage and then burst and then damage, because it'll heal like an additional like 75 health every time. After you stop healing him, it will heal an additional, I think it's 75 at least. So it ends up saving more of your juice here, and it doesn't deplete it. Again, in this fight, it wouldn't matter as much, and it does heal faster. It's just not as efficient. Especially somebody like Sigma, who's normally not going to require as much healing, but he would, you'd be able to burst healing and not, your meter would probably still be up here, if you had started healing him right away. But yeah, there's not a ton you can do. I mean, Reaver comes in, kills half your team anyways, and it wouldn't have affected the fight. It's just something for the Moira mechanic I wanted to mention. So. Alright, so that one's done. So again, yeah, just depleting more than you need. Because now you're completely out of juice. I think these healing orbs are good though. This again, bad habit that you have is just oops. Running out in front of your tank, right? Because this is, you were up here and your tank is over here. The rest of your team is back here. And you make it out because you fade right away, but that's just it's a very bad habit to be in.
I will not leave a broken world behind. I won't let you fall.
Guess it's, I believe, 3-on-5 right now, so you just don't really want to push any of this. Yeah, if you're Bastion ints, that's kind of him. Yep, so here you want to follow your Roadhog up. Oh, he dropped anyways, never mind. Just as a general thought though, when your tank's running across here, the reason I said that you would want to follow him, right? Although I guess this makes sense if they're push. So I guess yeah. 1 second. Well, the main thing being that yeah, they can rush through here and end up pushing with you, or pushing into you. But this also makes sense if you're looking to retreat in case that happens too, I guess. The main issue is it just if your tank doesn't end up dropping right away. This is good. I guess cap point, pretty straightforward. You can see Widow, good. This was a weird sleep. This, you can see his shield is very clearly up here. There's no reason to throw sleep at that. I mean, it's just gonna hit shield and absorb it. And again, I think this is another one where your aim's just a bit, maybe amped up just in the moment. But just, yeah, just calm down. Make sure you hit your shots, because that's, yeah, it's a habit that like a lot of people have. I have it too. That sometimes like it, you know, big things happen, and it's good. So again, well, yeah, that's good. You're going for the sleep. Never mind. Just be careful with something that is walking up to, in that situation, getting too close, because that yeah, that's something, if you end up missing the sleep, that can turn dangerous situation pretty quick. But nade goes into the wall. Just make sure you're, know where you're aiming them. That's good. Every team's just rolling, so you're doing a good job keeping up on them. Let's push this a little bit. Yeah, so this is not something that you can help with. This bastion right here, right? The ice wall, you're not gonna get around this before it breaks, so you don't need to give up your positioning. You can hear the Orisa shooting on this side, and you know that their team is here, right? So if you come over here, you're giving up any good positioning, right? You don't have cover here, you don't have cover here, so you're essentially just walking into the team at this point. This is not something I would recommend, because I know that you really want to help your bastion, which, I mean, makes sense, but you're not going to get around this in time before like the wall itself just depletes. So normally you just have to wait for, if people get walled off, you just have to wait for them. Oops. Yeah, there's not much you can do there. I mean, hitting that sleep dart's very hard, so. So it's another one where you want to be behind walls, right? Especially when she's coming in. So I believe it's like, here you're getting frozen, you should at least try to get behind the wall instead of just sitting out here and trying to hit something last second. I mean, it probably wouldn't matter again because they're just throwing all of their ults. But just as a general rule, a good habit for it, try to get to a spot if you can when you're getting frozen by Mei ult. Just to try to get to a safe or a safer spot if you can. Any kind of cover you can use is good. Okay, so all of this, I'm gonna slow this down, I think, a little bit. So you come in here, right? You're doing this. This is good, right? You come over here. But again, see how you're putting yourself in a position here where all of a sudden she turns and targets you, right? And luckily she doesn't have her javelin because she just used it to kill your widow up here. But you're now again making yourself a target because you're just in open space here. You could just be playing back here where your Kiriko is, and you're like your hog knows if he just needs to stop back 2 feet, or at least hopefully he knows he just needs to step back 2 feet if he needs to, right? And I believe she's yeah, so she has her fortify up. I'm pretty sure when you threw this. Sometimes it's hard to tell with the coloring, but yeah. So you throw sleep into that. That nullifies. I think it was in the other game too that you were doing that a couple times where you tried to throw sleep into it. When she's golden like that, that's her fortify is up, which means that she can't be affected by the sleep. You can anti-nate her, just not sleeping. This is one of those where your Kiriko is um in here again, all like she's critical and she's continues. I'm not sure if you're trying to hit her or not, but something like this where like this dart just kind of went into the middle of nowhere here. So I think it's the same thing. You're trying to hit. Like there's multiple targets that are getting that need healing. There's a bunch of fighting going on. I think it's the same thing where you just kind of not slowing down and just focusing, trying to hit your shots. That's an unfortunate May. Well, you're not gonna really know that's coming to throw your nade, but oops. Yep. So again, here's an example of sure the you're trying to go around the cart to try to help your Roadhog, but in doing so, you end up running into their Orisa. This is not, this is not something that you need to do to go around you, right? Like you can be back, but you can't just run up in here, and then something like this happens, and then that's a easy way. Then you die. So that's because you walked up into their Orisa in order to try like heal your hog, right? Instead of waiting for him to walk out from behind the cart. Because if you have to walk into the enemy tank in order to heal your tank, then that's probably it's normally not a good spot to be in. Good job. She ice blocked, so now you want to jump down as well because your Bastion just jumped down. Uh, Normally he should help you 2v1 this, but this is worth trying to just hit a sleep on if you're trying to 1v1 the Mei. Oh, I guess your Widow comes in, but it's a good anti. It's not a whole ton your hog can do here. It's just trying to, all of your DPS dead and that. Yeah, so the only thing I think you could have done here is back. Right. So when this May blocks here,
I have
here,
fighting.
right? This would have been time to just drop down, right? And probably just pull under here. This is not the greatest spot, but at least your tank's coming up, right? And it's you'll be with your tank, and then you guys, I think your team's pushing, and your team just kind of gets split here. And this isn't entirely your fault either, because right, because your Bastion honestly shouldn't have dropped here. He should have just helped you kill her quick, and then you guys can drop down on the enemy team, and then it's a 5v4. But instead he leaves it, and then that's why it takes so part long, right? Because it's a lot easier for a Bastion to kill a Mei than it is for the Widow. And then your Hog is down here, and he's like everybody should just kind of either focus his Mei and go in, or just ignore the Mei and go over here. But because your team ends up getting split, right? Then that's why your Bastion ends up dying here, and then so it ends up being a trade. Actually, or I guess he does actually end up getting that Mercy, and then the Mei doesn't end up dying there. So it had three people were pretty much focused up here to try to kill this Mei, and then the Mei didn't end up dying. So the team split. It didn't end up in your team's favor. But again, like that's not entirely your fault. Just something that if you were down here healing your Bastion, maybe that would have been. But that was also his mistake for jumping down here in the first place. It's just a thought. But overall, it's and then you do your best here to help out your Hog. It was a good nano and everything and the anti, but it's just with the DPS pick, there wasn't a ton that you guys could do together with the amount of their team's already back here because they have the closer spawn. So but yeah, so overall, like I said, I think your gameplay is pretty good for the most part. Like there are times definitely where your positioning needs work. Um, your mechanics are pretty good aside from times where I think you panic a little bit or maybe just get a little bit too hyped, um, and just kind of your aiming goes a little bit shaky or you'll over aim a little bit, and that's just something to work on. That, like I said, like a lot of people do that. I do that sometimes too. That's a good habit to try to get rid of. Just you know focusing on landing your shots and just take a second. Sometimes if you need to. Um, yeah, and like I said, like with May walls and whatnot, or the cart, if you need to go around and put yourself in a bad position or heal your team, just wait for the better position to heal your teammate, instead of trading your life for it. Um, I think that's pretty much. Oh, and then yeah, obviously just mid, be aware of what things your sleep doesn't work on, like Ramacha Shield or the Ursa when it's fortified. Just be aware of those things so you're not throwing your sleep in because it's a very long 14-second cooldown. Um, but otherwise, yeah. If you have any other questions, I guess feel free to let me know. And I hope this helped out.